please rise as you're willing and able for our hymn from the Gray Hymnal, number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
My name is Corey Cortez. My pronouns are she and her, and I am your religious education coordinator.
And my name is Reverend Karen Madrone, and my pronouns are she and hers, and I am thrilled to be your minister here at the Universalist Unitarian Church of Farmington.
Together, along with our children, we are going to share a story called, What Will You Bring to the Feast? Imagine a land far from this one, in a time much different from our own. Imagine that you are a village elder who owns many fields and stables full of livestock. Imagine that your harvest this year has been the most successful ever, and that you are grateful to the powers that be in the universe for this bounty.
What would you do to celebrate? How would you express your gratitude? What are some ways that we express gratitude or celebration? Anybody? Music?
Music.
What else? What else do we do?
Turkey.
Yes.
Parties.
Parties.
Turkeys, but sometimes wander around in my yard.
Oh,
wow.
That's awesome.
Okay.
I celebrate when I see turkeys running around.
So these are all some wonderful ideas, each with its own story and things that are meaningful to us. In the story today, you'll hear and see this morning the village elder. And who is our village elder? Yay. So the village elder will have their own ideas about how to celebrate. You'll meet the council members, which are all of our children of the village, and you'll hear how they taught their village an embarrassing, sometimes lessons are embarrassing, and an important lesson. What could it be? We'll find out soon after our worship begins.
We bid you welcome. We do not ask what you believe or expect you to think a certain way, but only that you try to live a kindly, helpful life with the dignity proper to a human being. Welcome all who believe that religion is wider than any sect and deeper than any set of opinions. Welcome all who might find in our friendship strength and encouragement for daily living. Good morning. Thank you, Corey and Reverend Karen, for weaving our tale this morning, and thanks to all of you for joining our community on this Ingathering Sunday, our homecoming into a new congregational year. Thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us, whether enjoying the service in person or watching online. I welcome you warmly to the Universalist Unitarian Church of Farmington and to this worship service for all ages. I'm Ellen Greenya, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm your service leader this morning. I'd like to extend a special welcome to any visitors today. After the service, we invite you to join us at our annual summer picnic at Rotary Park in Livonia. Food is provided, all are welcome, members, guests, and visitors. This morning, we are delighted to have our younger congregants join us for all of this multi-generational service. This is a time for us to be together in ritual and song, moving our bodies and celebrating the joys of our diverse community. Joys and sorrows will be shared later in the service. You can come to the microphone to share them, or you can text the number listed on page 2 of the order of service. Please take a moment now to silence your phones, but don't turn them off. You are encouraged to share on social media that you are attending today's service. Do we have announcements?
Just me, but I have two. So Marie Laurie, Social Justice Committee and Save the World. The first one is that next Sunday, this month we're not having a movie night. This month we're having a field trip. Next Sunday after church, we're going to Cranbrook to see the Sonia Clark exhibit at the Art Museum. Please join us. There will be carpooling from the parking lot after church, so there's plenty of room for us to share rides out there. The exhibit, Sonia Clark, if you saw the slide, you saw people looking at a wall of small pieces. That one was called Healing. And it was created by people all around the city of Detroit. It's about, in each of those cloth bundles on the wall was someone wrote something about someone or something they lost during the COVID pandemic. So each of her pieces is about racism, about history, about healing. It's a very moving exhibit. Highly recommend it. Please join us. The second one is, the social justice one, is you should have an envelope in your order of service. So for our welcoming Sunday, we are collecting funds for La Casa Guadalupana. La Casa Guadalupana, we've supported them before. They're one of our favorites. They work in Southwest Detroit with our new immigrant neighbors. They're the only place in the area that offers full education from starting with the beginning of first grade. Many of our newer neighbors grew up in areas so poor where they came from that they never went to school. Starting with the beginning of first grade through GED in Spanish. They also teach ESL, job search and job skills, OSHA training, that kind of thing. And they also have after-school tutoring and summer enrichment programs for kids. It's a really good, small program. Every penny gets pinched twice before it's spent. Highly recommend it. Please give as generously as you can. Thank you.
I know the announcement was just made about the picnic, but I wanted to emphasize that, especially for any visitors or guests, that we really welcome to have a chance to get to know you better after the service at the picnic. It's going to be at Rotary Park on the north side of 6 Mile between Merriman and Farmington. So, don't be hesitant. Please come and join us. Oh, and there's going to be food, of course.
Yay, I'm in.
Not sure how many turkeys, but we'll have food.
Good morning. My name's Karen Duguay, and I'm the chairperson for fundraising. And I'm just asking you to start getting your donations in for the upcoming auction. The sooner you get those in, the easier it is for us to compile the book and get everything ready for the auction. So if you're thinking of offering a party or an item, now's the time to do it. So thank you very much.
Please check the UUCF website or emails for other announcements about upcoming events. Now that we've learned of the activities happening in our community, we enter into our water communion service. We symbolize our coming together after a summer of traveling and rest. We celebrate all that is life-giving and that which has restored our spirits. Our water communion is a visible sign that no matter where we go and for how long, The love of this community and the love from this community draws us back in, warm and welcoming. May we also consider what it is that we bring to this community on the cusp of a new year together. Our chalice lighting words are our affirmation of mission. Let's read them together from your order of service. We seek answers everywhere, include everyone, live with compassion.
Let's return to our story. In that land far away, in that time so different from ours, it had been a glorious harvest year for the village elder, the richest person in the valley. He was grateful for his many fields of grain and for his stables full of livestock. As an expression of gratitude, he decided to share his riches with all the people of his valley. He would hold a feast for all of his neighbors. But the elder needed help with one aspect of the feast. To get that help and to issue the invitation to the feast, he called the council of elders together. Okay, guys, come on.
Wait, no, that's at the end.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. It's okay. You can come.
Yes, all of the children can come up to the front.
I'm a child.
Including you. Everybody can come up.
Dante, come to the microphone.
Yes.
What?
Come sit on this side.
Come sit on this side. Over here. Over here.
No, come sit on this side.
Here, over here.
Come sit over here.
They want right over here. Yes. If you want to sit here, some of you can sit here too. Okay, perfect. Oops. Oh, I didn't even see you.
Okay.
Do I say mine? I have had a great harvest this year, and my stables are full of livestock. There is much to be thankful for, and so I shall hold a great feast for all the people of this valley. I will provide all the food. I will provide musicians and jugglers. I will provide the space for this feast. I will do all this if you provide the wine.
Of course. Of course.
We shall each bring one jug of wine and pour them into a common vessel. Thus we shall share, even partake of your generosity.
The village elder announced his plans to hold a great feast. Before returning to their homes, each of the council members had agreed to bring one jug of wine to contribute to the common pot. You all agreed to do that? Okay. As soon as they had parted, however, the youngest was already cursing himself for having agreed to part with one whole jug of wine. I think some of us can relate to that. He didn't have much wine in his home, and he didn't want to spend money. He returned to his partner, and they sat down to discuss the problem.
An entire jug of wine? Are we to give up so much when we don't have as much as others? There must be another way.
Suddenly, his partner had an idea.
My friend, the other 9 elders will pour their wine into the common pot. Is that not so? Could one jug of water really spoil so much wine?
Hardly so, my clever friend. What a plan. Thus we must keep our wine for ourselves.
Please rise. While they go off to get their wine and water, please rise as you're willing and able for a hymn from the Gray Hymnal, number 210, Wade in the Water. Children.
While the youngest council member and his partner had been crafting their plan, the people in the valley had received their invitation to the feast with great anticipation. Finally, the evening of the feast had arrived.
You can pass us those invitations. Here, can you pass these out? Take the invitations out to everybody. Take the invitations out. Here, take some of these invitations. Everybody, come get some invitations to pass out. Come to Corey and get some invitations to pass out to everybody.
Yeah, go give them to everybody.
Go give them away. Go give them away. And then when you're done, go all the way to the back. Go all the way to the back. All the way.
All the way to the back, all the way. Make sure everybody has one.
And then when you're done, come back up. We want to make sure everybody gets an invitation. Okay, come on back.
Now, here. Pick a vest. Here.
Okay, Kelly, could you help them put on their clothes? Okay, so now everybody's coming on back.
Scoot over this way.
And now they're going to be putting on their finest clothes for the feast. Come on over.
Pick out some clothes.
Okay. Come on over. Kelly's going to help you put on some clothes for the feast.
Okay. Pick out a vest.
Okay. All right. We're getting all gussied up for our feast.
Here. Want to put a vest on?
Okay. Okay. Who wants a costume? All right.
Go. There. Perfect.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm just going to jump in on this part while we're doing this. While the youngest council member and his partner had been crafting their plan, the people in the valley, all of you, had received the invitation to the feast with great anticipation. Finally, the evening of the feast had arrived. As the villagers dressed in their finest clothes, so did the youngest council member. And then, as planned, he secretly filled his jug with fresh water from the well. I need our youngest council member. Youngest council member?
That's you. Okay. Here.
Okay.
This is your jug.
All right.
That's your jug.
So now our youngest council member has his water. And he and his partner carried their jug to the party, meeting the other council members and all the townspeople along the way. When they arrived at the estate of the village elder, everyone was greeted by the sound of music playing and the delicious smells of food cooking. Can you just imagine it, just like the picnic we're about to go to? There's going to be so much food and wonderfulness. Hold on. Come back here. Come back here. Okay. All right. So Dante, I need you to speak your part.
Welcome to this great feast. Thank you for bringing your wine. You may pour your jugs of wine into the great clay pot in the courtyard, and then take your fill of food.
Okay, now all of our council members, beginning with our youngest, will go over to this bowl behind us. So each of you, come get your water that's in that cup, and go pour it into that bowl right there.
Right there, okay? I have more. I got more. It's
Come
okay,
on.
I got more cups.
You can pour your water into.
Here.
Okay.
There's the over
Yes.
here.
It's,
Cups
they're
are
over
here.
there. They're over
They're
there.
over here. I got more cups. Oh, I got more cups. It's
Okay. And then hold on to your cups. Hold on to your cups.
Here, want to put some water in?
And so the village council members each emptied their jug into the common pot, including the youngest, and then made ready for the feast. And what a feast it was! First, there was dancing and entertainment. Then the bell was rung and the guests were seated. Can I have all of the guests seated? Yeah, if you want to take a seat,
don't
please.
drink that water.
The
now everybody
elders
have a
sat
seat.
together at the head table.
Everybody have a seat. No, you gotta keep your cups.
Can everyone take a seat?
Keep your cups. Keep your cups. Just keep it.
Everyone's cups had been filled with wine, and everyone was anxious to taste the fine, refreshing wine. So all of you poured your water in. We're pretending it's wine, okay? Okay, we're pretending, all right? And then all of you got wine back in your cups. You have your cups. So you have all of that, and you're anxious to taste the fine wine that everybody had poured into a pot together. So, our village elder.
Before we share this meal and drink this wine, let us give thanks. We give thanks for the work of the earth and sun as they ripen the fruits of the earth to fill our bellies. We give thanks for the hands that have prepared this food so that we might eat it. We give thanks for the company gathered here, all those who make our village a place of abundance, especially by bringing their gifts to share with us in generosity.
All right, now we need all of our council members to go have a seat so that our choir can come up next. If everyone would go have a seat out here.
Sit in these rows if you want to sit.
We, too, pause to give thanks
Just hold on to your cups. Okay.
for a summer filled with both work and rest, for adventures and play, for our safe return home. We give thanks for this congregation and all those in it, those with a welcoming spirit, those with a questioning mind, those with embracing arms, those with a prophet's vision. Let us now hear the choir sing River in Judea.
Oftentimes I dream of
Now all of our council members can come back up to the front if they would like. The crowd had gathered. The food had been served. Thanks had been given. It was time to eat. After the village elder's blessing, every guest at the feast lifted their cup. All of you have your cups? Okay. Everybody lifted their cup and then brought the cup to their lips. Now we're pretending we're drinking. They sipped and sipped again, but something was wrong. What they tasted was not wine, but water. We need our youngest council member. Come on up and speak clearly into the mic.
One jug of water cannot spoil a great pot of wine. So we told ourselves, and so we filled our jug at the well. But clearly, every council member had the same thought. Each of them filled their jug at the well. And so instead of sharing our wine to suit this great occasion, we have done nothing but embarrass ourselves.
All of the council members looked at each other sheepishly. Sheepishly, look at each other sheepishly. Avoiding the eyes of the village elder. Look at the village elder. And then continued to drink as if it were the finest wine their lips had ever tasted. Oh, that wine is pretend that's wine. Pretend it's delicious wine. Yes.
Okay.
The next day, a new saying arose among the people of the town, a saying that spread around the world. If you wish to take wine, you must give it also. As we reflect on this story and its lesson, let us share our joys and sorrows.
So thank you to all of our children and our council members, and we will continue on with our service. Thank you all. Thank you for sharing the story. Do you want to go sit down? Oh, you can put your clothes over there. Okay. All right. Come sit down. Come sit down.
Okay, come on over here, guys.
Come on.
Come on.
Okay.
That's so silly. You can put your cup back in here. Let's put this back too, okay?
Good job, man. See you later.
Okay. Ready? Here we go. Here we go. There we go. Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead and sit down. Have a seat. Go ahead, have a seat. Go ahead. Have a seat.
A perfect heart is one that has known love and loss, joy and sorrow. The perfect heart is one that has been shared. As joys and sorrows of our community are shared, please direct your energy, prayers, and meditations as a gift of compassion and strength. I didn't get anything texted in, but if anyone has anything they'd like to share with us, like Kelly.
Kelly, I have a very big joy. I have the pleasure of directing the murder room.
Those don't get the e-blast know about that and keep their family. That rest in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, one for the joys one for the sorrows, and one for the strength of the gathered community that can support you and bring you peace. It isn't just a stale habit. It's an opportunity to recommit to this place and to this people. Our offering is an affirmation, a yes. When we give, we say yes to something we value. With our gifts, freely given, we may say yes to the values of our faith. May our offering help us practice Unitarian Universalism within and beyond our congregation as tools to empower our mission.
Wisdom can arise independently and often does in different parts of the world. The story we heard this morning and acted out by our wonderful children and our community is a story that has been told in cultures in both Africa and China. Sometimes similar stories are created by people in different lands, which is the human family's way of signaling that the story contains an important universal truth. Sometimes in our culture we say, oh, there's a myth, or like we act like a myth isn't important, but it is, because it tells a story about who we are and what we believe. Hearing this story today, we can appreciate its truth too. When we share with our community, it is truly felt and appreciated. But when we try to withhold from our community to keep something all to ourselves, it can hurt the community. Do you remember what the council members in our story were asked to bring to the feast? Wine. Unlike them, you were asked to bring water to this worship service. How many of you remembered? Oh, good, we see some hands. Don't worry if you didn't, but that's just how we operate, is like we encourage people to bring, and there is water up here as well for those of you who forgot. So we always make sure that there is space for all. Traditionally, this ritual is celebrated in Unitarian Universalist congregations across the country in a similar way, and almost always on this day. So I am super excited because the congregations around the country are doing this exact same service today. So I'm hoping that all of you feel connected to the larger UU world in knowing that this is something that we are celebrating together. In the past, it has been a practice for people to push this message of bringing water from your travels, which is fine, but it's not really inclusive. Today, our water communion will diverge from that tradition that I remember that was what was happening when I became a Unitarian Universalist back in 2005, and I wasn't a fan of that tradition, and here's why. We're thankful for all of you who experienced the joy of learning about a new place in the world, maybe got to travel, or who revisited familiar and a well-loved place over the summer. We're thankful that as you traveled by car or by airplane or by boat or train or trolley, those travels brought you back home safely. We also recognize that not everyone has the resources or the ability to travel to far-off lands. We recognize that although it's interesting to hear where people have traveled, that practice is looking back and looking outward. Sometimes it becomes a travelogue of sorts, and I will admit that for many years when I first became a Unitarian Universalist that I would stop attending this particular service because I felt like it was kind of classist. So I'm glad that our larger UU world has started moving away from that. Our water communion calls us to a higher purpose, that of looking forward and committing ourselves to the common life of this congregation, just as our individual samples of water combine in this common vessel, which we have here at the front. An even bigger question is how we each contribute to the larger community, making it stronger, more peaceful, and more friendly, more welcoming. This is why over the past week, when we publicized the service, we asked people to bring water, and especially from your home. It does not have to be from someplace you went this summer. In our story this morning, the council members were asked to bring a small amount of wine to the feast. As you heard, each of them withheld their wine and instead brought water, each of them believing that one jug of wine could hardly spoil a lavish feast. From that story, we learn the importance of each person's gift and each person's willingness to share those gifts joyously from the heart. I'd like you to contemplate and think on what is it that you bring to our community as a whole? How will you share from your heart and your spirit in the coming year? These are the questions at the heart of our water communion service. Let's just take a moment in silence and think on that. In a few moments, I am going to invite you to come forward. Our ushers are going to direct people row by row from the back, moving forward, and then you will circle around. And you will form lines at the common vessel here in the front. When you pour your water in, rather than naming the source of your water, because in many congregations this is something that's done out loud, I would like you to come forward and pour in water and just think to yourself, please silently to yourself, name one gift that you bring to our new congregational year to make this a really intentional moment. Perhaps it's a desire to attend worship more regularly or to listen to others more carefully. Maybe you bring the gift of patience, always valuable, especially in committee meetings. Maybe you bring a musical talent that you're willing to share. I know that there are more choir members out there who just have not shown up yet, but I know you're out there. Maybe you are going to be a new RE teacher this year. Maybe that is a gift that you bring. And parents, this is also an opportunity to talk with your families about what gifts you bring and what your children bring, because all of us are members of this community. We are a fully multi-generational community. As you pour in your water, consider the gifts that you bring, willing and enthusiastically ready to share with others. We now welcome all the water, all the gifts of this community to come forward. If you didn't bring water, you can still come up because we have other pitchers you can pour from. Let's take a moment to take all that experience in together. Here, in this bowl, mingled together, are the shared gifts of our lives. These waters represent the promises and aspirations that we make one to another. Members, friends, all communities of this beloved community. As we begin our year together, let us consider the part of ourselves that fears giving out love freely. Let us resolve not to withhold love, but to follow love's path and its progress wherever it leads. Please rise as you are willing and able to sing our closing hymn, number 1064, Blue Boat Home. May remain standing. After the closing words, then we are going to process out into the Memorial Garden and do a short dedication, and then we'll go straight from there to our cars and head on over to Rotary Park in Livonia. And so as soon as I finish the words, then the choir is going to follow me, and Jesse and Joan are going to direct each row going out. So just letting you know that that's how we're ending our service today. Friends, we are one and we are loved. All of who you are is welcome here. all of your gifts, everything you bring, anything you forgot to bring, everything you are, welcome here. We are loved and we are one. Our blue boat brings us home, and now we take this love out into the world. Mark, would you extinguish the flame? Go ahead. Yeah.